Well, good morning and a very warm welcome to all your visitors from wherever you may be. Even if you're abroad, I hope you're having a very nice week so far. Well, good morning from Britain here. It's the 4th of September now. We're well into autumn now, even though some people say, well, someone might go on a bit longer, but meteorologically, as you know, things have changed a lot with the seasons. Well, it was quite cold at the end of August. Today it's quite cloudy, overcast, and probably going to rain. And talking of rain, we've had a lot of rain over the summer. Hasn't been brilliant, but anybody who knows England will know the weather can be very variable, and certainly we get a lot of rain here. We get extreme weathers, and some people blame climate change, as you know, with floods, sometimes droughts, low rivers, and then of course a deluge of rain, which sometimes means we have flooding in various places. So it's all quite extreme. Anyway, I hope you've had a nice few months. I know some of you from abroad it won't be summer. Here it's been summer, and certainly there's been a lot happening here. Some good news, some bad, some civil unrest, unfortunately, about a month or so ago. Extreme political events as well. We had some rather horrific events in Southport, up near Liverpool, the city of Liverpool, where 3 children were sadly viciously stabbed at a playgroup over the summer, and sadly they died from their injuries, and it caused a lot of civil unrest thereafter, with people wondering who this man was he an Islamic terrorist and all this sort of thing, as has happened before in some ways. And word gets around quite quickly these days with the internet and social media and so on. So it was very traumatic and tragic, not only for the families but also for local communities, who sadly some of them did get affected in some severe way, and there was a lot of damage in various cities. It spreaded from all from Southport to other places in the country. And a similar thing happened in 2011 when the police completely made a total error with an armed black man in London, which I think they shot, thinking he was a total threat to them or the public, and it was all taken very badly by the local youths and gangsters and anybody else who wanted to get involved, and that did spread across London, I think, and other places as well. It caused lots of damage and civil unrest. Well, this time round it was due to stabbings in Southport, and sadly these young children died. But the message, I think, to the politicians was, of course, we never want any form of violence or arson or anything else, but there were ordinary people on those streets who came out, old people, there was women with pushchairs with the young children and everything else there. I think the message is they're very concerned about who's coming into their community and what they're actually doing, what the motives are. And that leads to the wider issue, which probably isn't being tackled by the new government. And that's another news story. We've had a new government. Anybody who doesn't know, they've won a landslide, the Labour Party, in early July. So that's another big story. And they've come into all these criticisms about how they're conducting themselves. And now they've turned on the pensioners in terms of, well, it's all happening here with they're removing some of their allowances, basically. I know some of you from abroad won't understand all the politics of this country, probably won't be interested, and it can be quite in-depth to look at the whole thing, but certainly there's a lot of people who are suffering due to not having doctors and dentists. I mean, some people in the world might say, well, we don't have them anyway, we've got to pay the full whack. And of course, but people here, we do have things which are in the private domain which you have to pay full price for, but some things are paid for out of tax, i.e. the NHS. So there we are. That, as you well know, and if you remember the London Olympics, that was a big feature. The NHS was featured, and what the provision for the ordinary folk of this country. And talking of ordinary folk, these people who came out to protest, most of them, many of them, wouldn't cause any bother. They wouldn't say boo to a goose. They've never protested. They don't know how to stick up for themselves in terms of, you know, a lot of us don't know how to even contact the powers that be about various local concerns. We might speak to our MP, there's council, perhaps, but of course you're looking at a long time to get anything resolved. And that's another big problem with this country. Things take a long time. And sometimes tempers do boil over. Some people get in a bad temper about how they're suffering because of the housing. 7, 8 years on the housing list or whatever. You know, there's all these things which most people who live here, and so certain people who've been here for a long time, know that the problems continue. There's always more problem with housing. There's the costs have gone right up, and it's a tough thing to juggle. Certainly the government's got a lot of work to do, and certainly the other government we had until July had a hell of a job trying to sort out this immigration. Of course, we're a small island country and we've got a lot of people coming in. Some people say, oh, well, you know, we've always let people in. But of course, where we all going to live is one thing. A lot of people are saying, and it goes back to these, many years back to Brexit, what's going to, you know, where are we all going to live? We're getting so many people come in. We've let a lot of legal people come in from Hong Kong, as you know, Ukraine recently, Syria, Somalia, and loads of other countries. But we've also got a lot of illegals coming in. Now, we haven't really had a chance to really consider numbers on those and where they're going to go, where they're going to live. And there's people on the housing lists in various parts of the country, various towns, cities, and even villages have waited for years for a place to live. There's not enough social housing. They are building a load of houses. The government doesn't talk about it. They're building all over the place, but they're not building social housing, which is a bit cheaper. In other words, it basically means it's either run by the council or a housing association on behalf of the council. Well, that's just a bit about this country, and I know it's probably not of interest to those of you from abroad, but it's a good message and perhaps very serious for anybody who wants to come here. I mean, any of you were considering to come here. It's a very challenging state of affairs, and certainly it's no mean feat trying to come here. I mean, it's not just a case of coming over here and hoping to stay and get a job and then hopefully you'll find a flat. It takes years. It takes absolutely years. I mean, I know someone who had the leave to remain. I mean, all this, they were here with a husband, split up, and that was about 5 or 6 years by the time she got somewhere else to rent. Then she had 3 case loads of the leave to remain paperwork to do, and I think they cost about £3,000 each. Basically, in that time, you could probably get some voluntary work, but I'm not sure if you can get work part time. You may be able to get some with permission of the Home Office, probably through your local council wherever you're based. But all these things go on a long time, and this can take over 10 years. And do you really want to be in a country 10 years not settled? I mean, that's the problem, isn't it? And of course, at the end of the day, you've got all the costs as well going on. And at the end of the day, you've also got the cost of living, the wages. If you're earning £10 an hour, well, rent around here don't get much under about £650 per month for a flat. And then you've got your council tax and all the other bills, living expenses. So it does go on, and it's really, well, these people who want to come over here illegally, well, some people say more fool them, because it's not ideal and nobody knows where they're going to live. Are they going to live with their friends? You know, I know people who will put people up if they're desperate and if they've actually got a genuine case, but I mean, there's just so many people, and we're a very small island country. One wonders why they don't stay in the safe country, as in France or Germany, Italy, Greece. There's plenty of other countries around, because it would be a lot easier to disperse people evenly across Europe if we're going to have so much immigration. They can't all come here. We just don't have the facilities, not for the local people, not for the indigenous population. And we've always been one to accept immigrants anyway. But of course, there comes a time when we need to start having looking at the levels, and also start curtailing this and thinking about, well, what about the local population? Now, those people are the ones probably who, there's a lot of people who never get heard and never say anything. They're the ones who are losing, and actually, sadly, they never say anything. And ordinary folk are being denied a lifestyle which you might say is appropriate for Britain. And some people expect more, and some people who come here think that actually they expect to be better than it actually is. Although, of course, some people think the freedoms here are far better than a lot of other countries, especially in the Far East and the Islamic countries, which is absolutely true. And we're quite open and accepting of a lot of people, and also diverse in the amount of people we have in every town and city. And we do respect equality in various ways. Some of us even to the detriment of the Bible, which is sad, really. But we've opened to the people who perhaps got oppression in their own countries. and the homosexuals and all that, with women's rights and all these other things we think about. And of course, disabled rights, it's all moved on over the years to various places. And of course, more controversial now, gender neutrality. A lot of churches and a lot of people I know, even not Christians, are not happy about all that. I think it's going far too far. Well, there's the problem with doctors and dentists and schools and all that in areas. They're not being built. They do build the houses, but not the schools and the housing. And I know you English people, the people who live in this country, rather than those from overseas, will know exactly what I'm talking about. Cost of living and social housing. And the left wing tend to think it should be a free-for-all, which is not ideal because it doesn't work. It will not work. And I mean, I've had various experience with housing, living in HMOs, as a house of multiple occupancy, shared housing. Basically, you have a room and you share a bathroom and kitchen. And I've lived with a lot of different foreign people, and I've had all the experience of living with them. Some has been quite interesting, some perhaps more of a cuss. But ordinary folks' concerns do not get listened to. This is the problem, why sometimes attitudes and personalities boil over. But of course, most people would not protest. They don't want to see anybody hurt, and they wouldn't go out and cause any problems. But writing a letter, wow, we don't want it to get heard about. Now, today, I'd also like to mention about the Grenfell Tower inquiry. That's due very shortly, 11 o'clock this morning. You may remember that terrible fire, 2017, where 72 people died. I think it was another person died a bit later. So 73 people in London at a tower block in North Kensington, sadly. Very sad state of affairs there, because people couldn't get out there, and the building should not have caught fire, but it was cladding on the side, which was to make it look nicer, and also it all been done up a few years before. Sadly, it didn't work because, and of course, everybody's always been told, it goes back, I know my grandmother had this years ago, don't leave your flat, stay in, the fire brigade will come up to fetch you. But of course, in this case, the fire came in through the windows because it came in through the cladding. Probably caught fire to the curtains and things late at night. I think it was all caused by a washing machine. It'll all come out into the open today, hopefully, and any recommendations. But we do think about those poor families. And I have had a walk around there a couple of years ago, not close by, you can't get any close to it, but just to see the building. It's all covered over. Well, and it's all about ordinary folk once again. Anyway, that's just a few matters of the day in the last few months over summer. We're now moving on to autumn, and everything's going back to normal really. People have had their holidays, what they're going to have, and they're looking forward. And we don't know what's to come with this new Labour government. We don't know, but we hope that they'll consider everybody, and they won't just be a free-for-all for people from outside, because the pensioners have put a lot into this country. But anyway, it's a bit of a different message today. I know we talk about English language, we talk about culture, we talk about accents, we talk about other issues, and perhaps things that aid those who are interested in Britain and interested in coming to this country. And I know most of you probably would like to come for a holiday, and you'd be most welcome. Well, thanks for joining me here today. Next time round, I'll probably consider more English language. You may be able to tell I'm still in the process of moving. There's no furniture here. I don't have a desk at the moment, but nevertheless, I haven't given up. It's all good. There's a few bits of furniture's gone missing in the move, sadly, because I had to move to a small room, and I've moved here. So that's 2 moves. I moved here about, 6 weeks ago. Anyway, thank you very much for joining me here today. Have a lovely day, and mercifully now, the sun is out. Thank you. God bless you. Bye-bye now.